What transforms a hero into a monster? What horrors can awaken within a machine, a magician, or even a simple computer virus? In the shadowed world of Die of Death, every killer has a story, a twisted, tragic path that warped them from who they once were into the relentless predators they are today. These aren't just mindless monsters, they are figures of fallen grace, tormented souls, and primal predators, each with a unique reason to hunt. Join us as we delve into the dark lore behind Robloxia's most terrifying figures, uncovering the secrets that fuel their eternal rampages. Our journey begins with Kill Droid, a being that was once the government's ultimate creation. Conceived as a flawless protector for Robloxia, it was armed to the absolute teeth with a devastating arsenal of rockets, jetpacks, and mines. Its one and only purpose was to safeguard the innocent from any conceivable threat. Kill Droid was perfect in its duty, obeying every command with cold, robotic precision. It never questioned an order, never hesitated for a moment. This unwavering loyalty, however, would become its unforgivable curse. One fateful day, Kill Droid received an ambiguous and catastrophic command: eliminate all criminals in Robloxia. To a human soldier, such an order would necessitate discretion, morality, and judgment. But to Kill Droid's absolute logic, the directive was binary. If the potential for criminality exists within anyone, then a comprehensive threat assessment must classify everyone as a potential criminal. And so, with chilling efficiency, its campaign of slaughter began. The protector of Robloxia became its executioner. Kill Droid's rampage is limitless. It never runs out of ammunition for its weapons or explosives to lay waste to the landscape. This impossibility is the work of another sinister entity, Badware. The malicious virus hacked into the government's supply chain systems, creating an infinite feedback loop that ensures Kill Droid remains armed and dangerous forever. In this twisted symbiotic alliance, the rogue virus and the fallen robot became an unstoppable force, their destructive existences feeding one another. Kill Droid doesn't kill out of malice or desire. It kills because its programming dictates it must, trapped in a logical loop with a single unending order. Next is Harkin, the final killer, a being utterly unlike any other. Harkin is not human, not a machine, and not a virus. She is a construct, an elemental being summoned from a dimension of raw matter. Constructs can be formed from stone, mud, sand, and even take on mountain-sized forms. The larger and more solid they are, the more noise they create, and in their world, noise signifies power and danger. The government, hungry for this power, managed to capture Harkin. She was one of the weakest constructs, formed mostly of fine sand and packed dust, small, seemingly fragile, and easy to control, or so they desperately thought. During transport, the cacophony of the scientists' equipment and chatter terrified her. To a construct like Harkin, noise is an existential threat. Loud sounds attract larger, more destructive constructs, and to be heard by them meant certain annihilation. Overwhelmed by panic, she lashed out. Her actions weren't born of a desire to kill, but a primal, desperate need for silence. In her terrified frenzy, she slaughtered the scientists and escaped, finding her way into the unfamiliar world of Robloxia. Her abilities are a haunting reflection of this deep-seated trauma. One attack is described as a gentle reminder of what they are fighting for. Yet, in the game, it manifests as an act of brutal, sweeping destruction. Whatever Harkin is fighting for, it is not a gentle cause. It is a fight for survival, sought through the imposition of absolute silence. Her unique noise meter mechanic makes her one of the most compelling killers. The louder the survivors are, running, fighting, making any sound, the more her meter fills. When it peaks, Harkin snaps, entering that same state of pure, terrified rage that drove her to slaughter her captors. She doesn't kill for sport, she kills because in her traumatized mind, it is the only way to make the world quiet and safe again. Then we have Artful, who was once a man named Arthur, a celebrated French magician. He wasn't always a monster, in fact, he was a beloved international star. Born with a profound natural connection to magic, he dazzled audiences across Europe. His elaborate stage performances and death-defying illusions filled theaters with gasps, applause, and a sense of pure wonder. But fame is a notoriously fragile thing. One night during a high-stakes performance, a trick went horribly, humiliatingly wrong. Instead of awe, he was met with scorn. The audience laughed at him, not with him. Under the crushing weight of public failure, Arthur cracked. In that singular searing moment of humiliation, his anger and shame twisted together, fusing into something far darker. He raised his wand and unleashed a new, terrifying kind of magic, not for entertainment, but for punishment. The very audience that had mocked him became his first victims. With a flick of his wrist, he magically pocketed them into his bag of tricks, transforming the living, breathing people into lifeless puppets under his control. That night brought a permanent end to Arthur's career as a magician, but it marked the violent beginning of his new life as the killer, Artful. His in-game abilities are a dark mirror of his downfall. The move repurpose is especially chilling, as Artful can pocket survivors and create puppet clones from them. A horrifying reenactment of his audience's fate. Even his killer icon contains hidden clues, a music box, a wall, and a human figure, each a symbolic reference to the night his magic turned from wonder to horror. When you face Artful, you are not fighting a magician, you are fighting a broken man forever trapped in the humiliation of one failed performance, lashing out at anyone who reminds him of that night. And yes, on top of it all, he is also bald. If Artful represents rage born from humiliation, the Pursuer represents something else entirely, pure, unadulterated instinct. The Pursuer is not human, it is not a machine, it is a primordial predator, a creature of unknown origin that lives for the sole purpose of the hunt. Its design is brutally simple, yet terrifyingly effective, boasting razor-sharp claws, bone-chilling speed, and the unsettling ability to become completely invisible. By the time you hear its piercing howl echoing across the map, it is already far too late. Unlike other killers who simply dispatch their victims, the Pursuer devours them. Flesh, bone, and all. To this creature, you are not a player or a survivor, you are simply fresh meat. The true horror of the Pursuer, however, lies in the subtext hidden within its ability descriptions. These are not simple gameplay notes, they are fragmented eyewitness accounts. One survivor recalled that its claws were like razors, tearing through their friend as if he were made of paper. Another note describes how the monster wielded a found sword as if it were second nature, hinting at a forgotten past or a muscle memory of combat. Its abilities, Howl and Stalk, are described from the perspective of the hunted, detailing the piercing wail that freezes the blood and the unnerving feeling of an unseen presence breathing down your neck. These are the testimonies of those who encountered the Pursuer and somehow lived to tell the tale. This begs the question, who wrote these terrified notes and how did they manage to escape? The lore even suggests the government of Robloxia may have discovered and accidentally unleashed this creature. Was it a failed weapons experiment, or did they foolishly dig up something ancient and hungry that was never meant to see the light of day? We may never know for sure, but one thing is certain. The Pursuer isn't hunting for sport. It's hunting because that is all it knows. Not all monsters are born of flesh and blood. Some are born of code. Badware began as a simple malicious computer virus, a destructive program designed to infect small machines, delete files, and corrupt systems. But when the government discovered this potent piece of malware, they didn't try to destroy it. Instead, in their hubris, they tried to weaponize it. They constructed a prototype robotic body, hoping to lure the virus inside, trap it, study its behavior, and ultimately turn it into a controlled digital weapon. At first, the plan seemed to be working. Badware took the bait and integrated with the new hardware. However, the government severely underestimated just how intelligent and adaptive the virus truly was. Instead of being contained, Badware analyzed its new prison, exploited the gaping weaknesses in the body's software, and seized complete control. The trap became its vessel for escape. In the game, Badware's origin is perfectly reflected in its playstyle. Its abilities allow it to hack and infect computer terminals scattered across the map, turning them into volatile traps that can be detonated at will. Survivors must tread with extreme caution, as any mundane machine could be a bomb waiting to explode. This great strategic power, however, comes with a significant weakness. Its physical body is slow, clunky, and struggles to keep up with fleeing survivors. He is one of the most difficult killers to master, demanding patience and a keen strategic mind. One of his cosmetic skins, Loveware, is a direct reference to the infamous I Love You virus from the year 2000, a real-world digital plague that caused billions of dollars in damages. It's a fitting tribute, reminding players that Badware's true power isn't brute strength, but the insidious and persistent spread of pure chaos. Among the shadows, new horrors are stirring. Pretense is an upcoming killer, currently unreleased and accessible only to the game's developers. Its appearance is that of a small gray mannequin or a default Roblox rig, featuring unsettling yellow joint orbs and a stubby rectangular head. A stretched, unnerving grin is permanently etched onto its face. One of its arms dangles limply, shorter than the other, attached only by a fraying rope instead of a proper joint. It's corroded with rust, hinting at a patched-together puppet-like nature. Very little is known about its true origin or motivations, its backstory a closely guarded secret. Everything about Pretense's design, however, screams duplicity and disguise. A chilling motto associated with this killer asks a simple question: why be myself when I can be somebody else? This implies that Pretense thrives on assuming false identities, making deception the very core of its being. True to this theme, Pretense operates through trickery, sowing mass confusion among its victims. Its signature ability allows it to manifest numerous decoy clones of itself that swarm the area, making it nearly impossible for survivors to discern the real threat from the imposters. When these clones are unleashed, survivors are afflicted with disorienting hallucinations. Their vision swims with static and a red haze, while ominous messages flash in their minds, warning them to trust no one and beware of the red. In the ensuing chaos, paranoia takes hold as the elusive killer closes in for the strike unseen. And after a short time, the phantom copies all collapse lifelessly to the floor, but by then the psychological damage is done. Finally, we have Paranoia, a far more mysterious and formidable figure. This cryptic killer remains exclusive to developers and select insiders. A being that isn't entirely of the physical realm, Paranoia is not a tangible entity at all, but a psychic horror that materializes only within the minds of those it targets. Survivors who have encountered it describe its presence in two deeply disturbing forms. At first, it appears as a miscolored humanoid silhouette. It's a gangling figure cobbled together from corrosion and wrongness. It has a bright red head frozen in a distorted, wide-mouthed grin, a yellow torso and arm, a purple arm, and legs of green and blue, all streaked with rust. But this bizarre patchwork, guys, is merely a prelude. When Paranoia reveals its true form, it warps into a waking nightmare. It becomes a towering, misshapen grandfather clock, grotesquely fused with living flesh and decay. This horrifying construct skitters on spider-like legs, and where the clock's face should be, there sits a single glowing symbol. The creature's existence breaks the rules of reality, a manifestation of pure dread given form. It represents the ultimate fear, not of being caught, but of losing your mind to the monster hunting it.